Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome back to Rise and Grind Sports. Today, going to touch a little bit on the Rocket Mortgage Classic that just happened last weekend, and we're going to go over some conference champions for college football. It's finally almost here. We're going to go over the ACC conference and the Big Ten conference today. Wednesday, we will do the Big 12 SEC. How's your weekend?
A lot worse than I wanted it to be, but
Jesus,
we made it through. Okay,
doesn't sound good.
we made it through, and that's all that happened. How about you?
Mine was all right. No traumatic events happened, so we're good.
Good.
So we're good. Just real quick, touch on Rocket Mortgage. Put on Twitter on, I believe, Thursday, right before they teed off. Did some top 20 bets. Had Cam Davis and Taylor Moore both hit top 20. That was nice. Also, kind of felt like Cam Davis might have won the whole thing and didn't throw anything on it. I don't know. He's been playing really well and he likes this course. I don't know why I didn't put anything on it at the beginning of the week. But he did. And Akshay kind of choked it away there at the end, but every time I seem to put money on both Steven Yeager and Robert McIntyre, it just never works out. But the times that I don't put anything on either of them, then we're good.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Truly kind of frustrating, actually. And Taylor Pendrith kind of fell off the face of the earth. He just didn't do anything for Saturday or Sunday. So he was there, but he didn't perform over the weekend. He didn't do what I needed him to do. So overall, out of the 5 bets, I mean, we only lost 1.025 units, so not terrible. But I would have much rather had Yeager or maybe McIntyre get up there because I put a unit on both of them. But that's neither here nor there. Congrats to Cam Davis. He played really well.
Sorry, Akshay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I did not watch a lot yesterday. I threw in a couple of live bets in the morning before we went over to the in-laws' house, and had a little bit of a cookout over there yesterday. So I wasn't watching very much, but I was just kind of cheating and looking at my phone while we were over there. So it worked out for me. I threw in a couple live bets. I took Akshay, Cam Young, and Cam Davis to win the whole thing. Clearly, Cam Davis won it. So
What did you get Cam Davis at?
I got him at what is that? Plus 650.
Yeah, at 650. I took him on the 5th hole and got him at 450.
Yeah, I got him in the morning, probably around, I want to say 10 o'clock at plus 650 before he even teed off. He's been playing really good. I like his game. He likes this course a bunch. So, the one guy that was scaring the shit out of me that was climbing up a little bit was Minwoo Lee, another guy who I really like, and he was kind of playing really well. And I was like, man, if he wins this thing, and I didn't put money on him this morning, I would be very upset. So
it was getting close.
It was getting pretty tight.
Yeah.
But hey, worked out. I thought Aaron Rise. I knew he wasn't going to win. He can never close it out. He just doesn't have that dog in him. Okay. Anybody who wears 2 gloves on a golf course is not okay with me. So I can't take it. I don't know what it is. I might need to do some research before I kind of bury the guy. Maybe he's got some sort of condition where he has to have 2 gloves on, but I don't know. Very odd. I didn't like it.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's like, oh, I got sweaty palms, it's like, okay, so does everybody else. Like, I don't know.
So did Eminem.
True. So let's get into some college football, man. We got some
You want,
ACC conference winners.
you want me to pull up the spreadsheet?
Yeah, sure.
Might as well.
Might as well. Um.
Give
So
them
yeah,
a
I mean,
quick, give them
obviously.
a quick explanation of the colors.
Oh God. All right. So obviously, green win. If it's a buy and it's green, I think it's a good buy, if that makes sense. Yellow is kind of a coin flip game or like a kind of just like a neutral bye week, like okay, cool, whatever. Red, loss, and if it's a bye week, it's a bad bye week. Um, the purple ones are the ones for like personal tabs of just watching the spreads on those games because it's a potential like sleepy spot. Like for example, um, let's say Louisville, for example, because we're going to get into them a little bit. Um, Louisville at Virginia is a sleepy spot. Why? Because they'll be coming off playing Georgia Tech at home, at Notre Dame, versus SMU, all conference games. Then they got to go on the road to Virginia, but then they play Miami at home, and they're probably looking ahead to Miami because Miami's going to be a little bit better than Virginia. So at Virginia, if Louisville's favored by 10.5, because Louisville might be, I don't know, 4-1, then and Virginia might be 2-2. If they're favored by 10.5 on the road, you might want to take Virginia. I don't think Virginia is going to win the game. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes I do. I mean, kind of depends. So, um, and then obviously, if you scroll down a little bit more, we did like the win totals are in the highlighting the blue. Um, there, I believe that is on the top is the transfer recruiting rank for in the country. The next one is their straight up recruiting rank. Obviously, then their head coach, their overall records, the starting quarterback, and then we got the offensive rank from last year, the defensive rank from last year, their strength of schedule this year, returning production on offense and defense, and then their record last year. I think that's
There's a
pretty much
lot.
it. There is a lot. It's a
A
lot.
lot.
I've been working on this for quite some time,
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm very excited that it's here. The
Yes.
only down part about it is that there's like 8 weeks left to get there, and I don't have anything else that I have to do, so I'm kind of bored. But that's okay. Um, so ACC conference winners. My kind of thought process is more of kind of just throw some darts on a couple of these in the ACC at least, because I think ACC is kind of wide open. I don't know. I don't know what Duke, not Duke. I don't know what Clemson is going to be this year. I also kind of don't know what Florida State's going to be either. Um, Florida State lost a lot on the offensive end in terms of receivers, and they obviously lost Jordan Travis, who, in my opinion, I think is much better than DJ Uyunglele. Um, so for the ACC in general, I was just throwing some darts. So we'll get back into Louisville here. Um, I got Louisville to win the ACC at plus 600, throwing a half a unit down on them. I think Jeff Brom is a good coach. He's an offensive guru. And this kid, Tyler Shuck, who has been in Texas Tech. I think he was at Oregon and he sat behind somebody at Oregon. It wasn't Bo Nix, but maybe Anthony Brown. Maybe he's been around that long. It's been a while. He sat behind him and then went to Texas Tech and kind of, I mean, they were okay. They were never anything like, they were never any sort of threat in the Big 12. Um, but everybody likes to dick ride him. And if he's good, then Jeff Brom will emphasize that. Like last year, he had, I think it was Jake Plummer or something, the kid that was like, he was at Purdue with him or at Cal or something like that. Like Jake Plummer was not a like super good quarterback, and he made him look great. So I think Jeff Brom has a good offensive system there. Um, Scroll down a little bit. They hit the transfer portal really well. They're returning 53% of their offense. They're also returning 79% of their defense, and their defense was top 40 last year. Um, I don't see that really changing. They recruited pretty well on that side of the ball as well. So, and they went 10-4 last year, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were in the ACC conference championship last year, which technically is really all I need out of them so that we could possibly hedge. So, um, over under 8.5. I think, Vegas kind of expects a little bit out of them. And usually in the ACC, it's like a team goes, 11-1, and the other one goes like 9-3, and they're in the conference championship. So it's like, if Louisville wins 9, maybe they're in. Now, it used to be division based, so that's kind of out. Um, so I don't really know. It's going to be interesting. That's why I'm just kind of throwing some darts. But we'll get into their schedule real quick and then move on to the next one. I think them getting a bye in week 0 is bad because they don't need an extra week to prepare for Austin P. Austin P is not a good football team. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then getting a bye after Jacksonville State is not good. I'm sure they would much rather have a bye in the middle of the gauntlet that we're about to talk about. I think they're going to be 2-0. They're going to have that little bye. And then I think they're going to beat Georgia Tech at home, lose to Notre Dame, beat SMU, probably a close game. I personally, I think they're going to beat Virginia. And then the game against Miami, I should probably have as a yellow, but I don't really know. I think Miami has been soft as baby shit for so long that, like, by that time, I don't know, Miami could be, like, just totally out of it. Like, if they lose to Florida and let Virginia Tech beat them at home, like, they already have 2 losses. I think they may actually, now looking at it right here, they may lose to Miami because Miami be coming off a bye. So maybe, but I don't know what Cristobal is like off of a bye, so we're gonna have to look at that. But if they lose that game, I think they go on the road and they fight Boston College, and it's a lot closer than it needs to be. And then they lose at Clemson. They get a much needed bye. They go all the way across the country to Stanford, which Stanford's not going to be very good. They play Pitt at home. Pitt will be decent, but Louisville's better than them. As long as everybody stays healthy, obviously. And then at Kentucky. And I think Kentucky's had Louisville's number for like 10 years. I mean, I think Louisville's beat them like once in the past 10 meetings. So realistically, I could see them losing 4 games to be 8-4. But I mean, if they shock the world, like, I mean, if they go into Notre Dame and beat them, then we're good. If they finally beat Kentucky, we're also really good. So plus 600 for a team like that, not too shabby. I think it's only like a top 50 ranked strength of schedule. So yeah, 43rd. That's not horrible. So Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that. NC State, I also took plus 600, kind of for the same reasons. They've always been pretty solid in the ACC. Dave Doran's a really good football coach. He's recruited really well. They hit the transfer portal really well. They got our guy Grayson McCall from Coastal. I don't know how that's going to go because I don't know how he's going to fit in that scheme. But they're returning 65% of their offense, which wasn't necessarily that great last year. But I think their quarterbacks were banged up last year, from what I remember. So they didn't really get consistent play. And they're returning 53% of their defense. It was top 30 defense. I think their defense is going to be really good again this year. Um, and then let's see, their win total also over 8.5. So they're kind of tiptoeing on the border of being really good. Um, I'm just really excited to see what Grayson McCall is going to do in the ACC. I think he's going to be really solid. But let's see. So obviously, week 0 again. I think it's a bad buy because whatever. It's not really a buy, but it's just like you're sitting around for a whole nother week waiting for a team that you're probably going to smash. So it's like, what's the point? Um, I think they beat Western Carolina. That neutral site game at Tennessee is going to probably make or break the year. Um, I don't really know what to think of it yet because I haven't seen that Nico Iamileva or Yamalava or whatever. Well, I don't know how you say his last name. I'm gonna know eventually, but he's apparently a stud for
They say
Tennessee.
he's very good.
Yeah, he played that bowl game last year where they beat. Who did they beat? They beat somebody like 35-0. Like wasn't even close. I don't remember who it
I'll look
was,
it.
but he was pretty solid. So anyway, I think they beat Western Carolina. They beat Louisiana Tech. The good thing The good thing about NC State is the toughest game that they have on this schedule is at Clemson, and it's early. So they can get the 2 toughest games they got between Tennessee and at Clemson out of the way and then go on a run, which I think is exactly what's going to happen. And they're going to beat Western Carolina. They beat Louisiana Tech. And even if they do that, they're 2-2. Then they beat Northern Illinois, beat Wake Forest, beat Syracuse at home, go to Cal and beat them. Then you got to bye. Beat Stanford at home, beat Duke at home, take another bye. Probably a sleepy game against Georgia Tech, but probably a win. And then you get UNC on the road, which God knows what UNC is going to look like by then because they get decimated by injuries. They can't stop a nosebleed on defense. And I don't know how good their quarterback's going to be. So, really, with what I just said out loud right now, I think they could go 10-2. So, I'm going to throw a dart at that because I don't really see many losses on that schedule. I think Tennessee and Clemson are the scariest ones, and they could even split those for all I know. Like, if nobody's healthy, like who's the backup for Clemson if Cade Klubnik goes down? Do we even know? And what's that kid going to look like? Because if he's sitting behind Cade Klubnik, who I don't think is very good anyway, then he must not be that good. So, um, I could I could really see them going 10-2, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went 8-4 or 9-3. And it's like if they go 8-4, 9-3, the toughest game they have is at Clemson. That's their toughest game. That's it. So, and I think what are they? They're 74th strength of schedule in the country. Scroll down. 74th. I'll play with that all day long. With a team that's recruited that well, hit the transfer portal, 74th ranked schedule in the country, I'll take that. And over 8.5 is actually plus money on wins. So I think I was going to sprinkle on that, but we'll get into that later. Um, these next 2 are probably going to shock you a little bit.
Oh,
Take a stab at what you think my next team's going to be.
next team.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Miami.
No. Virginia Tech.
Okay,
I think they might be back.
they might be back.
However, I do have a lot of losses ironed out right here, as you can see. But if they are as good as everybody seems to think that they are, including EA College Football 25, because I don't know if you saw those power rankings, but
I
they got
haven't.
Virginia Tech up there,
That's crazy.
which is insane. But I've been wrong before.
Loss
So,
a loss to Vanderbilt is absolutely disrespectful.
well, Vanderbilt's got a new quarterback by the name of Diego Pavia, and I don't know if you've watched him, but he's a dog, and I love him. But I do like Virginia Tech's quarterback. I think he's pretty good. But the thing is we're tiptoeing on like saying that Kyron Drones is like the next Cam Newton, and we got to stop because he's not. Like they're like, oh, this guy's massive. He can throw it. He can run it. Blah blah. Blah. He's not Cam Newton. He's not taking a pretty shit Auburn Tigers team to like 11-1 and going to the national title. It's not happening. So, for me, this is like a really, 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 really big stab at their returning production. They're returning 95% of their offense and 77% of their defense. Now, you'll see right there, they're both highlighted in yellow. They were not very good on either of those fronts. However, you have an entire offseason with pretty much all of your offense and a good majority of your defense to get ready. So, even though I have a lot of losses on their schedule, if returning production means anything, Virginia Tech's going to be the team that would be the measuring stick for that. It's funny because like I haven't won in the conference, but like I would take their under 7.5 with the schedule that they have. And somehow it's like the 69th ranked schedule in the country. Scroll up real quick. I don't know how this is only the 69th ranked schedule. So at Vanderbilt, not really that tough, obviously, but could be a loss, right? Then Marshall, Old Dominion, and Rutgers. Let's say you win. If you win all of those, you're 4-0. Sure. Then you're gonna go to Miami and probably get your ass kicked in the heat. And then you get to fly across the country and play Stanford. I don't know if Stanford's gonna beat them or not, but flying across the country for the first time after getting your ass kicked by Miami a week ahead of a bye, or you probably need a bye because that'd be 6 games in a row, they might lose that game. That's kind of where I'm at. Come off a bye, beat Boston College, beat Georgia Tech. You're going to lose in the Dome at Syracuse. Clemson's going to come kick your ass. Probably going to be a night game though, so maybe you pull a win out there if you do. Then you get a bye. You go to Duke. Who knows? And then you beat Virginia at home. So I got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 7. 7 wins. But if they shock me and they go across the country and beat Stanford, if they beat Clemson at home in Blacksburg and sneak out another win somewhere else, they could be in it. So why not take a stab? I mean, they're plus 1,200 to win the conference. That's pretty good. I mean, you're going to win 6 units on a half a unit play if they win the conference. So why not? This one somewhat makes sense, but somewhat makes no sense. And it's Syracuse. Part of it is because of the odds. They are plus 4,800 to win the ACC. Let that sink in for a second. Plus 4,800. That is fucking insane. Insane. I mean, if you hit it, it's 24 units on a half unit play for them to win the conference. They're bringing back 81% of the offense, 67% of their defense. Pretty solid. Their defense is always a little bit better than advertised. They hit the transfer portal really well. They recruited very well. Kyle McCord coming over from Ohio State, I think, is going to be the difference. I think he got crucified at Ohio State for no reason because he's not CJ Stroud or Justin Fields or whatever. Um, I think he is going to be a big difference maker for them. And their schedule being 61st in the country, I think their schedule is easier than Virginia Tech's. And Virginia Tech is technically has a easier schedule than them. So let's dive into their schedule real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up because I know you got to go. Obviously, I think they beat Ohio and Georgia Tech. They're 2-0. Then you get a shitty bye because that means the end of their schedule is a gauntlet a little bit. I think they'll be 2-0. You get a bye. They beat Stanford at home, Holy Cross at home, beat UNLV on the road. Sleepy game there because they're probably going to be looking ahead to NC State. I think they lose to NC State, get a bye, probably lose to Pitt. I think I only really have them losing to Pitt because Pitt's coming off a bye. But by that time, my opinion could change. This is just basically by what's happening right now. I think they beat Virginia Tech at home. They could lose to Boston College. They cross the country and lose to Cal, beat UConn, and beat Miami. So if you notice, there's two teams in the ACC that they avoid. It's Clemson and Florida State, who are supposed to be the best teams in the conference. So if they're missing the best teams in the conference and technically their toughest road game is at NC State, I'll take that. When I was fucking around with this thing, I was like, Syracuse could go 10-2. I know that's insane to say out loud, and I don't want to do that, but they could go 10-2. Really. If they stay healthy, they could go 10-2. I think they would. The honest opinion, they could lose at NC State, and I think they would probably lose to baby Cal. I don't know why I had them losing to Cal or Boston College, but that's just kind of where I'm at. Do you want to dive into the Big Ten?
Oh, we can.
You want me to touch on it real quick? It's going to be kind of self-explanatory for the Big Ten
That's
for
fine.
me.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Let's dive into the Big Ten real quick. 3 teams you're not going to be shocked by, and then 1 I'm just going to take the bait and run with it. Ohio State plus 155. This team might be the best team in the country. They're top 5 in recruiting, top 10 in transfer portal. They got Will Howard from Kansas State, who's a fucking stud. Ryan Day is a good football coach. They're returning 61% of their offense. I think they're returning 61% of their total production of their team last year, which went 11-2. And I think this year they're going to beat Michigan. So I'm already kind of writing that one in. If we go into their schedule real quick, I think they can lose 1 game, and it's at Oregon. Because Oregon, I think, is the only team that can match them on both sides of the ball talent-wise right now. And that's technically my second one. I'm taking Oregon. So Ohio State plus 155, I'm putting 2.5 units on that. Oregon plus 200, I'm putting 2 units on that. Kind of the same thing for Oregon a little bit, but I think they could probably lose against Ohio State. I also think going to Michigan for Oregon is a little sleepy spot. Like, I think Michigan may have that game circled. Does Michigan scroll up real quick? Does Michigan play Penn State this year?
No.
But they play Texas, right?
Yeah, they play Texas.
Okay, so Michigan's going to have 3 games circled. It's going to be Texas, Oregon, Ohio State. And they're spaced out enough to where you're not really looking ahead to any of them. If Michigan is good, Oregon and Ohio State are in trouble. But I don't think, I'm going to say it right now, I don't think you can win a conference with a quarterback named Alex Orji. I'm sorry. I just don't. I like Sharon Moore. I think he's going to be good. But They recruited really well, but I don't know if that's Jim Harbaugh's guys or Sharon Moore's guys. And they got decimated. They have like no returning production, especially on the offensive side. So I think honestly, by what we're looking at right now, we could say that both Ohio State and Oregon beat Michigan, no problem. So that game, I don't know what week that is. That is Ohio State at Oregon is going to be a fucking phenomenal game. That week
Week,
like
week 7.
7, week 0, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4,
Week 7.
6, week 7. Yeah, okay. I think week 7 slate is loaded, like college football wise. I think I saw like a tweet or something about that yesterday. So yeah, I like those two. This one is heavily reliant on their quarterback play, but I like Penn State. Penn State has just been the team that's just kind of always there, and their quarterback play just never takes them to the next level. Um, they play Ohio State at home, which is good for them. I don't think that they're going to beat Ohio State. Um, I don't really. Their schedule is really easy to me. Like UCLA coming across the country to play them in the cold. They don't want to do that. They go over to USC. USC's going to have a really good offense, but no defense. So it's like if Penn State just smashes them in the mouth from the get go, then there's no problem there. At Wisconsin's a little bit of a tough spot. I think I meant to make that a purple game, not a red, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter. If they lose back to back right there, you can pretty much go ahead and pack it in that they're not going to be in the conference championship because I think two teams are going to have one loss. I think it's going to be Ohio State and Oregon, and they're going to play again in the conference championship. And then if that's the case, we don't have to do anything because we have both of them to win it. I would be shocked if anything else happened. But my last team we'll touch on. I'm gonna take the cheese. I'm gonna sip the Kool-Aid. I'm gonna I'm gonna just let it happen. I took Nebraska at plus 6,500 to win the Big Ten.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Their schedule is somewhat favorable. And Dylan Raiola is supposed to be the next coming of Christ. So, if that's true, and Matt Rule is a godsend like he was, I mean, they had a 13th ranked defense last year, which kind of shocked me a little bit. I knew that they were good, but be like top 15 defense was kind of crazy. And they're returning pretty much 80% of it and 76% of their offense. Now, they're returning a majority of the offense that we kind of need. They're returning receivers and running backs, and they lost the quarterback, Jeff Sims, but that doesn't matter to me because Dylan Raiola is supposed to be the next guy. So, Nebraska having a win total of over under 7.5, it's kind of crazy to me, but like I could see it. They do play at Ohio State, which is tough. You get Ohio State off a bye after potentially losing to Oregon. So that could be a loss. But the rest of their games, man, like going to USC off a bye, I don't know. Like if their defense is as good as advertised, like these schedules are just based on looking at them and spots. Like if they're 9-1 going into a bye because they lost to Ohio State and they go to play USC, then I'll probably take Nebraska, like in that game to win because USC might be out of it. You got to think USC, UCLA, Washington, and who else?
Oregon.
Oregon. Well, I'm not worried about Oregon.
I thought
UCLA.
The new team. Sorry.
Yeah, UCLA, Washington, USC. Those are all new Big Ten teams that have not played a Big Ten schedule. Like they usually don't play in the cold. They usually don't have a guy like Donovan Edwards or Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins hitting you when it's -2 outside. They're not used to that shit. So I think, and Nebraska gets pretty fucking cold too. So you're going to get UCLA at home late in the year when it's chilly. Wisconsin at home, whatever. The one that I think is really going to make or break Nebraska's schedule is the last week at Iowa. That game always seems to get them. I don't know what it is. But really, like, honestly, if I'm looking at it, if Dylan Raiola is as good as they're advertising, which I think he is, they could win every game except for two, in my opinion. They lose to Ohio State and Iowa. Maybe USC. Maybe. USC is probably the only team that could keep up with them offensively, but they have no defense, so I would take Nebraska still. I mean, if they go 9-3, like, they're probably going to make the playoff as an at-large bid, which is crazy to say. If they go 10-2, they're definitely in. So I don't know. I got overall Ohio State plus 155, 2.5 units. I put 2 units on Oregon plus 200. I put a unit on Penn State plus 500 and a half unit on Nebraska plus 6,500. That's essentially my Big Ten.
Crazy to say.
It is nuts because Nebraska has been somewhat of a meme for us for quite some time.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen Nebraska be good.
No, not in a while.
But they used to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember the first college football game I ever played on the GameCube. The Nebraska quarterback was on the front of it. I don't remember who it was, but it was a Cornhusker on the front. So,
maybe
I don't
they'll
know.
get back to that stage.
I hope so. I mean, it's good for football if they get back to it, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm not too sure. Not too sure about them. So we'll see. We got plenty of things to look forward to this year.
Yeah.
We haven't even dove into win totals and betting the spreads every week. It's going to be not great. But yeah, next time we'll touch on the Big 12 and the SEC conference winners there. And we should be Wednesday. Yeah, so we'll probably do Big 12, SEC, and then probably throw some golf picks out there because there'll be a tournament starting on Thursday.
John Deere.
Yep, John Deere Classic.
John Deere Classic.
The Sepp Straka Classic.
The Sepp Straka Classic. Yes, sir.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. You got anything else?
No, sir. I don't.
No. I can't believe I took Syracuse to win the conference.
Yes, that's scary. But hey,
It's half a unit, whatever.
it can
If
work.
it pays off, it pays off. They
If
go
it-
10-2 and they're in it, then they're in it.
Yes, sir.
They go 10-2 and play Florida State. That's all I need. Then I can just take Florida State money line and get out of it. So we'll be all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, till next time.
Till
Have a good
Wednesday,
couple
huh?
days.
Peace out.
Peace out.